Hey everybody, it's David Pingree with RacerX Tested. We're out here today in Corona at the Suzuki test track. Not your normal place for a new bike intro, but Suzuki is launching their 2013 RM-Z450 for the media today. We're going to be riding their Supercross track. I'm going back 10 or 12 years and going to pretend I can still do this, although they have watered it down for guys with arthritis and anyone over the age of 30. So we should be okay. The new motorcycle looks amazing. From the outside, it doesn't look like there's a bunch of changes, but once you start getting into the presentation, there's actually quite a few things underneath the skin of this motorcycle that make it a much improved model over the 2012. Suzuki had three main goals in 2013 with this motorcycle. They focused on the engine, the chassis, and the electrical system. They wanted to get broader low and mid-range power and torque, stronger acceleration and throttle response, and a more precise and smoother shift feel in terms of the engine. In the chassis, they wanted to refine the shape of the frame and seat rail, which improved agility and handling and enhanced front and rear suspension when combined with all the changes. And in the electrical department, they have a higher performance processor in the ECM, revised ignition coil settings, and increased power generating magneto. The engine on the 2013 RM-Z450 comes with a new cam chain guide, a new stator coil, a reshaped shift cam, a new oil strainer with a new magnet, a new intake camshaft, a lighter piston with a DLC piston pin, a new lighter connecting rod, a redesigned transmission, and thinner crankcase reed valve. The piston on the 2013 model is actually 13% lighter. They designed it from feedback from their MotoGP racing team with their FEM analysis. They were able to decrease the weight without sacrificing any rigidity. In addition to the lighter piston, they were able to put in a piston pin that's diamond-like coated, which creates less friction and allows better performance. They also added a lighter connecting rod. The camshaft on the new 450 has been changed on the intake side. They changed the cam's working angle and lift amount, giving it a smoother characteristic and overall increased controllability. On Suzuki's of the past, the transmission has been an area of contention. Some people say there was missed shifts or just not a very firm shifting feel. Well, for 2013, the transmission has been redesigned. They changed the shape of second, third, fourth, and fifth gears. And they went from a 4-dog system to a 3-dog system, which should give you a better, more positive feel when you're changing gears. They've also changed to a thinner crankcase reed valve for more efficient lubrication in the transmission. This should equate to better throttle response and smoother power delivery. Suzuki also focused on changing the shape of their air cleaner outlet. The increased volume of the air inside the airbox increases bottom to mid-range power delivery. Part of the change to that airbox is a switch to a carbon fiber mixed material in the back of the airbox to also reduce sound while creating more power. In an effort to improve reliability, the cam chain guide has been changed on the 450 as well and went from a T to an H design. So the bottom line on the RM-Z engine is that torque and power have both been improved widely across the mid-range, which should make it easier for riders to put power to the ground in racing situations. In terms of the chassis for 2013, Suzuki changed the structure of the frame head, tank rail, down tube, and bridge tube. This was offered a weight reduction of 91 grams for those of you keeping track at home. They also changed the shape and position of the engine mounting bracket on the 450. The aim in these changes was for more controllable handling characteristics. Obviously, a big change on this motorcycle is the new Showa separate function fork. In this new design, the inner tube diameter has been increased from 47 millimeters to 48 millimeters for optimized stability and absorption. And spring preload is now adjustable, allowing for a wider range of settings. This is the second generation separate function fork by Showa. There's also an increased main cylinder piston diameter from 28 millimeters to 30 millimeters, an increased sub-piston diameter from 34 to 35 millimeters, and an increased cylinder B diameter from 20 millimeters to 23 millimeters. Now, the goal of all these changes is to increase damping force, create stronger rigidity with smooth operation. Suzuki also made some changes to the rear suspension. They changed the link lever ratio, which provides a progressive suspension damping characteristic, and they also made valving changes inside the shock itself. There's also a new chain roller on the new 450. They changed to a polyurethane rubber diameter 40 millimeter with a bearing. as opposed to the one last year that did not have a bearing that was 35 millimeters. This should help with chain guide wear and also keeping slack and flop out of the chain when accelerating. There's a new radiator shroud on the new bike. They've changed the width of the installation part on the back side of the fuel tank cover. The surface has been made flatter, which should make it easier to hold onto the machine and reduce any possibility of hanging up with boots or knee braces. They've added a new ECM ignition coil on the 450, which has changed the sparking characteristic for higher power, optimized combustion efficiency, and enhanced roll-on performance. There's also a new magneto on the 450, which produces enhanced generation and charging performance by 8%. This will also make the motorcycle easier to start. Something that Suzuki is offering and has for the past couple of years is different couplers for the ECU. There's a leaner and a richer mapping that can be put in easily, unplugged and plugged back in. Literally, you can do it in 30 seconds if you pull over to the side of the track. So we went ahead and tested both of those today, and you can definitely feel the difference. And I would encourage anybody with a motorcycle that's got that capability to go out and try that, just so you know what it does. The leaner setting, typically they're about 5% leaner across the board or 5% richer. And, the leaner one is going to be better for tight, slow tracks. It's going to give you a little bit more of a crisp throttle response, where the richer mapping is going to just maybe let you run out a little longer on the very top end, but have a little bit of a heavier throttle feel down low. So it's something that you should try and feel so you know what it does. All right, so we've had a chance to put some laps on this thing, and I think for me, my initial impression is the focus has been on refinements. I rode the 2012 bike last year. I really enjoyed it in our shootout, decided that that's what I wanted to ride for the season, and I loved it. So for me, getting on this, we're here at a Supercross track. Kind of hard to tell some of the characteristics of the bike, but the engine you can definitely feel is strong. They've tried to improve that low to mid, and I feel they've done that. Last year I felt like maybe I was between gears a little bit and had to go up one tooth on the rear sprocket, where this year I feel like in stock trim I could leave the gearing. So for me, I feel like that low to mid has been improved, and if you wanted to put a pipe on it or things like that, that would make it even better. The suspension, it's really hard to tell. Obviously the Showa fork is a big improvement this year, a big change, and frankly we're gonna have to just go put some more time on it before I can really tell you a whole lot about it. It's great to have the spring preload adjuster here and have that capability. I definitely like that. As far as the chassis changes, the engine mounts and things like that they've changed, those are very subtle and hard to tell on a Supercross track. You may or may not even be able to feel those on an outdoor track, but just geared towards giving the rider a little bit more positive feedback. All in all, great motorcycle. Excited to put some more time on this thing. I want to thank Suzuki for having us out. Go check this thing out. Be at your dealers very soon.